Let's talk some NBA today. If you were looking at my channel right now, you would not assume that I'm a big basketball guy. I made one Rockets video, and look at me, I'm making another Rockets video today because I need people to take a deep breath with Jalen Green. And I would like to just say it has taken me about 8 times to record this video, whether I've been messing up with the equipment or something like that. And that's about the same amount of time as Jalen Green took for that dunk contest, which I'm not even going to start on the dunk contest. I think it's something that might need a break. Like, that's how bad that dunk contest was. I waited all night sitting in my chair. My TV's up there, if y'all didn't know that. So I'm just sitting here looking up and just watching one of my favorite players in the NBA just consistently disappoint and show an NFT off and then miss 9 dunks in a row. He will be back. I still think he can win a dunk contest. He's in a league of his own with the amount of jump that he has. I just think he might be an in-game dunker at the end of the day. But I think Jalen Green, as a basketball player, people need to relax a little bit. Now, I know I've been baited a ton on Twitter and Instagram with a lot of trolls because that's what the NBA social media is kind of filled with nowadays. I still think Jalen Green still has a lot of potential as a player. I think he has a lot of defensive potential and a lot of playmaking potential that has flashed throughout this season. I think a lot of analytics paint the picture that he's not a great NBA player, but I also think the situation around him in Houston is very, very weird. I don't understand a lot of the moves that they were making. Not to mention, if you go into the Twitter spaces for the Rockets Twitter, a lot of people are saying the same thing. You have a give or take with Steven Silas. Is he really developing the players? Because a lot of times John Lucas is the guy that's teaching up the young guys, and Steven Silas is really not giving them any kind of help or opportunity to showcase. If you didn't know, in the Rockets draft this past year, they had 4 first-round picks, and 3 of which haven't really gotten significant playing time on a consistent basis, other than maybe Alperen Sengun, who has become one of my favorite players for obvious reasons. I don't know how you can hate on Alperen Sengun, as he's developed to one of the most interesting prospects in the next coming years on how well he'll develop his outside shot and his defensive potential. But he's sneaky athletic, and he's shown to be very good passing the ball. But Jalen Green is the number 2 overall pick, who is getting less minutes than his counterparts such as Josh Giddey, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. And the situations that they're in are very different than Houston's. I think the biggest difference between the two is head coaching. Dwayne Casey was a former coach of the year for the Toronto Raptors, not to mention Nick Nurse got a team to the NBA Finals and won one. Former Rockets head coach, now turned Cavaliers head coach, is clearly blossoming that team into a contender. Rockets are being left behind with Steven Silas, who a lot of Twitter spaces call them Smiley Boy. And I think a lot of problems with Jalen Green is he does need the ball in his hands. When you have Kevin Porter, another guy that is very successful with the ball in his hands, Jae'Sean Tate is more successful with the ball in his hands, Christian Wood wants the ball in his hands, Eric Gordon is a catch and shoot guy, and Jacob or Josh Christopher is a guy that needs the ball in his hands, but he's becoming more available on the off-ball screening potential. There's a lot of guys and a lot of mouths to feed on this team. The thing is, Steven Silas, I think, is feeding the wrong guys. I don't know why he is so adamant on trying to get Christian Wood the ball consistently. It's clear that Christian Wood has a lot of talent, but I don't think he fits on this roster, specifically in the future. I think he needs to be moved off in this offseason. A lot of people are like, well, you got him on a bargain contract, but he is the worst defender on this team by far. And I think if you want Christian Wood to succeed, I think he only works as a 5, and I don't want my 5 to be the worst defender on the team. And I think his offensive potential is there. He's super athletic. He has an outside shot. He's everything you want from an offensive big, but his decision making and his inconsistency from the outside, and not to mention his play making, is not there. Not to mention his shot takes are just sometimes abysmal. And it's clear with the body language on the Rockets that they are frustrated with a lot of the moves that have been made and some of the shot selections throughout the team. And a young team has so much potential to bond together and mesh together. It's clear that Christian Wood doesn't fit that timeline. Yes, they're friends off the court, but I don't think on the court the body language and the frustration with the passing is very adamant. I think KPJ has blossomed into a decent enough point guard, and I think you still have to give him a couple years, potentially 1 to 2, to see if he could really be a point guard for this team, because he has shown at times that he is a fantastic point guard. I just think learning a point guard is almost like a D'Angelo Russell kind of situation, where you want to give him the opportunity to learn how to play that position, because KPJ was a former 2 learning to be a 1. I think D'Angelo Russell was in the same position on the LA Lakers. I would not want the Rockets to move off of him and potentially miss out on an all-star type of player. But then again, you have Jalen Green, a guy that is only getting about 12 shots a game, when I really want him to get 15 to 16 and truly learn by trial through error. He's not being able to get consistent enough shots. Yes, a lot of his counterparts and other rookies are getting around 12 and more minutes, but the thing is when you watch those games, those shots are not consistently there. He's not consistently getting the ball in his hands, and if he misses a couple shots, you'll go 2 quarters without seeing him attempt a shot. His confidence is on the floor as of recent, and when he came back from his injury, he was on fire, and then Stephen Silas started to cut his minutes and weirdly start to present the offense more for Christian Wood and Jae'Sean Tate, and I still think Jae'Sean Tate has a lot of potential. I think he could be very good on this team as a 6-man, but I don't understand having Dennis Schroeder on the roster on a already crowded backcourt, not to mention Daishawn Nix is a viable prospect coming from the Vipers, who is playing fantastic. The Vipers are one of the most dominant G League teams in the entire NBA, and you have a point guard on there that could be a very good backup point guard, potentially even a starting point guard, but you bring in Dennis Schroeder, you get rid of a veteran, Daniel Tice, who I never understood why was there, and I don't know why Stephen Silas was starting 2 bigs, which never made any kind of sense, but then you bring in Dennis Schroeder, who you don't cut, you don't do anything with, and you say you're going to keep him on the roster and not cut him. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand what Stephen Silas is doing. He is trying to present these veterans and start these veteran lineups, and it doesn't make sense. You start with the rookies, and yet sometimes in the middle of a game, specifically in the primetime moments like a third quarter, you'll see an all-veteran lineup, and it's like, why are we starting these guys? And specifically in blowouts, he'll play a lot of the veterans and not even play the rookies. I understand you don't want these guys to get hurt, but at the end of the day, they're either going to get hurt or they won't. You starting them in those late moments where they can get practice and reps, if they get hurt and they become injury prone, you're not going to be able to stop that. It's time to stop being scared and start to play these players and give Jalen Green an opportunity. And if you watch Jalen Green play and he's at his best, you see superstar potential. You see absolute insane potential from Jalen Green, and that's why I still think it's time to take a deep breath with him, because it's hard to see him not blossom to at least a Zach LaVine type of player. I've seen even Rockets fans try to compare him to Jordan Clarkson, which I feel like super disrespectful, because I think Jalen Green is a guy that could still blossom into a 25 point per game scorer, and that is something that I think he can obtain in his 3rd year. But I think the offense needs to change. I think it's time to move on from Stephen Silas, and I'm not one to call for a guy's job, but I'm tired of seeing this guy and his rotations and his justification, and a lot of times he just does not put the blame on himself or take responsibility in these press conferences. I intake a ton of Rockets media and basketball. I just don't like talking about it on the channel because it tends to be very negative. You will see a lot more NBA content over the next couple of weeks because I love talking about the NBA and it's what's relevant and it's one of my favorite sports, but I as of recent, I wanted to talk about college football, and that's how I wanted to get my channel started. But with Rockets basketball, man, it's just so frustrating to watch. I wanted to give, if you're a casual fan or if you're a fan of any other sport, I'm trying to give you an insight of what's going on in Houston because it is a mess. This season, we were expected to have a lot of fun. There's a lot of young talent, a lot of athleticism, a lot of interesting guys that we wanted to see blossom, and they're not even getting an opportunity. And we're after this All-Star break, and they play tonight. Right now, it's February 25th when I'm recording this. They play tonight, and I fully expect the same to happen. Not enough minutes for these guys. He's picking certain veterans who do not need to be on this roster and not playing Josh Christopher, who is playing fantastic. I know this is a Jalen Green video, but it's an overall situation of how toxic and how frustrating this situation is, and I don't see it getting better for the rest of the season, and that's why I believe they should move off of Stephen Silas going forward, and Christian Wood, and Eric Gordon, and Dennis Schroeder. I don't know why these guys are still on the roster when they still have some value to a team, and I think that we could still develop and potentially become a play-in team in the next couple years. But with the course that they're going, I don't see it getting much better for the Houston Rockets. And as a fan, I'm very disappointed. If you're at this point in the video, please like and subscribe. I just had a terrible voice crack, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this summer. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your hot takes, whether it be for any kind of sport, for a video next week. And I am trying to record as many videos as possible and try to edit them over the weekend. And thank you so much for watching. Jalen Green is not a bust, and I'm going to stand by that. Have a wonderful day.